So I'm having a catch up with Rachael Sage. How are you?
I'm great. You're my first chat of the day. It's 9 a.m. here, so thanks for having me.
Good. Hopefully not too long of a day for you ahead.
No,
Um,
I love a good chit chat, you know.
yes.
I'm a New Yorker, so it's hard to shut me up.
Good. That's what we like in interviews anyway.
Nice.
Now, we've been playing a single of yours called Belong to You. Tell us a bit about the single, first of all.
First of all, thank you for supporting. This is my first gospel song that I've ever written, and it really is a song about devotion and gratitude. And, I'm enjoying the different interpretations that I'm hearing that people have of it. So I don't want to get too granular about, the exact origin. But especially as someone who is a cancer survivor, I'm celebrating 6 years in remission now. So I'm just sending a big hug and shout out to anyone going through a difficult journey right now, whether it be physically or emotionally. And these songs of kind of just gratitude and appreciation for every single beautiful day that we have on this planet, they just tend to pour out of me these days. So this is one of them. And right now, when I sing it live, it tends to be centered around friendship and loyalty, and especially friendship and loyalty within my band, the Sequins.
Nice. Yeah, good. You mentioned that this is your first gospel song you wrote. Was
I
that
think so.
intentional? Was that intentional to do, or did it kind of just turn out that way?
It was intentional. When I have that little window at the beginning of the muse, descending upon me, I usually have a little bit of a split second choice. This lyric, this melody can go in so many different directions. So within the shape of the album that I was making at the time, Canopy, I did feel that there was an opportunity because I'd had a couple of up-tempo tunes. I'd had, Just Enough, which was sort of a groove tune, the title track, very folky. And because of my ADD, I like to mix it up. I get bored of anything being one dynamic. So yeah, it really was inspired also by the piano that I play in at the studio where I made this record. It's a beautiful 1920s Steinway, and I sit down at it, and the keys just kind of tell me what to do. But there was also a beautiful Hammond organ in the corner, and I thought, wow, this song can go in a very particular direction that would allow, for instance, Will Wild, our harmonica player, to really get bluesy and gospel with it. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, nice. And that's off your new record, Canopy. So for
It
those
is,
who've
yes.
not had chance to listen to the record yet, tell us a bit about it.
Well, the title track to the album Canopy is basically my mission statement right now and this year, which is all about inclusivity and trying to actually listen to all of the voices in the proverbial room, not just a handful of them, or certainly not just one. So there is some focus on women's voices being heard and other marginalized people, and also just a coming together, a very kind of shouldn't be throwback, but it seems to be perceived that way, a throwback sensibility to the 60s and 70s and, the nonviolence movements. And so there are some songs about that on the album. And just, a lot of different angles on that same theme of inclusivity, togetherness, listening to each other, not canceling one another, and just trying to kind of cut through the divisiveness and separation that seems to proliferate, especially, driven by our media.
Mm. Yeah, no, of course. And I'm sure you wrote more than what made it onto this record. What happens to those now? Do you consider them again down the line, or is it a case of starting afresh when the time comes?
First of all, I love that the sunbeam is just pouring through my window now and reminding me what to do with those extra songs. Thank you, God. Um, there are always extra songs, but to be perfectly honest, I've been on the road a lot. these last few years. Um, I love touring, so I don't have the kind of plethora of extra songs that I used to perhaps when I was home more and writing every day. Um, but I think of it like curating an art show, and you know that I'm a visual artist as well. So there are going to be songs that fit and songs that don't. They're all my children. That's okay. Maybe they'll be on the next record. Maybe I'll keep playing a handful of them live and just sort of feeling, where they might fit in the future. But that's kind of how about a third of the songs on this record incubated. Really, some of them are older, just a handful of them, but they didn't feel like they belonged on any other record until now. So it all
Yeah.
works out in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got a fair few records out there. You seem to release one every couple of years or so. How does this album relate in comparison to your previous ones?
In some ways, I feel like that's not my job to know or to answer versus to creatively, output. But one thing I will say is that this is the first record. It's in effect, our band debut because it is under the name Rachael Sage and the Sequins. And the Sequins are my long-standing, semi-rotating band. There are some core members, and boy, I love this. Um, for those of you who are listening, there's like this incredible beam of light pouring through. I am gonna move. Um, yes, so I mean, these are people who have played with me for a number of years now. They're also my dear friends, individuals like Kelly Halloran, who's been playing fiddle with me for almost a decade, and we've toured the UK many, many times. My drummer, Andy Mack, will be coming over with me as I get ready to tour with the Overtones, and just a whole variety of musicians who really have been such a part of my sound on record through the years. So having the opportunity to give them their flowers, so to speak, and just really embrace their role in this project has been incredibly gratifying.
Mm,
So that's a
yeah.
big difference.
And what was the reason behind taking the decision to put the sequins in the title rather than just being the kind of co-performers with you?
Yeah. It was kind of the other way around. I went into this project with the intention of it being a Rachel Sage and the Sequins album. So I do think that informed the arrangement sensibility, um, even my behavior in a way as a producer in the studio and with my engineer and co-producer, Mikhail Pivovarov. The whole time we were always looking for ways to kind of manifest the themes of the record, to be inclusive and to welcome more ideas from the band. Everybody has certainly worked with me as a band leader for years now, but there is just a slight adjustment, I think, emotionally, psychologically, when you go in together and you're all present the whole time. And that's really more how this record was made. A lot of it was done live. Some of it was overdubbed at my home studio here in the Hudson Valley in New York. But throughout, there was really just this intention to include not only these incredible musicians, but their perspectives as well, and to just be more open, I guess, to all of the ideas in the room, not just mine.
Yeah, nice. You touched on touring, and you've done a few shows already with Toya and Rebecca
Yeah.
Ferguson here in the UK. How were those shows, first of all?
Oh, we just had a beautiful whirlwind week plus with Toya and Rebecca Ferguson, and they're both just such class acts, such good human beings, very generous, very open, and very warm and welcoming to us. So it was just a treat, and we were sad that it had to end, but we're about to go on tour again with the Overtones in mere days. So I'm getting my act together. I've opened the suitcase to start repacking. Gonna do the laundry after our call. It's exciting.
Yeah, what's it like to be asked by these artists like the Overtones, Rebecca Ferguson, Toya, and that to be
Mm.
on their shows with them?
Well, it's a thrill, of course. whenever one of these opportunities arises, I look at it not only as a chance to perform for their audiences and, who will hopefully graciously be open to what I'm going to share as well, but it's also an opportunity to watch and listen and learn every night to others who are, arguably masters at their craft, certainly extraordinary singers. Um, and yeah, they all just have such a unique vision that inevitably it's kind of like going to a new country. It's that Anthony Bourdain kind of a thing where you're suddenly immersed in someone else's world. You're going to eat what they're going to eat. You're going to see what they're going to see. You're going to hear their music every night. And it does change your DNA in a way. That's certainly been the case when I've toured with people like Howard Jones, Hue and Cry, Judy Collins, whether it's folk, pop, rock, Imelda May. A little bit of them kind of rubs off and stays with you, but on the flip side, it also very much reminds you who you are and encourages you to be all the more that artist because
Mm.
nobody wants to see two of the same people in a row. Everybody goes there wanting to have a joyful and immersive musical experience. And I think they welcome the contrast. And that's been the case so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got a couple of dates booked in already for 2026. Are you hoping to have a busy year again?
I am hoping to have a busy year. I'm always hoping my dance card will be semi-full, but I also think it is important to have those, short periods of rest or at least reflection to allow for writing and new work. So I'm building that in, and if I say it to you, it will happen. I'm building that in March. So, if you're out there listening and you'd like me to play a show in your local town, let's not do March. We'll see what happens. I say this every year, and then I end up, playing because it's what I love. But I do think balance is important, and we are, believe it or not, coming up on our 30th anniversary of Empress Records,
Mm.
that I founded many years ago now. So I think it would be fun to do some celebratory concerts, including all the different artists who've been on the label, and then also to do some different types of recording and artwork. So we got to allow for that to happen.
Sounds good to me, Rachel. It's been a pleasure having a catch up with you.
Thank you so much for having me. And I just wanted to add one little thing. Along this tour, we're going to be supporting the wonderful charity Rainbow Mind. And I hope that folks will check it out. It's just a wonderful organization that supports LGBTQ plus mental health and advocacy. So thank you so much.